I'm sorry.
I'm going live on to YouTube, Rabbi. Catch the Torah wave. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg and the Genesis class. Now, today's kind of a special day. We are joined by many in the Zoom room from all around the planet as usual, but we're also welcoming people from our sister group Netiv and YPS. That's Yeshiva Pirkei Shoshanim. So we may have a bunch of guests in the Zoom room that I'm not familiar with, but we want them to feel welcome nonetheless. As always, we've got our friend Lara from Queens, Italo from down in Lima, Peru. We've got Mike and Angela, the McConaughey's over in the UK. We're joined by Wendell and Jack and our friend Hans down in Paraguay, and Linda Allen as well. Welcome, Linda. As always, and of course myself and Rabbi Goldberg. But let's just jump right in and see how Rabbi Goldberg's doing. And I know he's got a wonderful message lined up. So, Rabbi Goldberg, good morning to you, sir. You're live on the air, and we're joined by many people already on YouTube and Facebook.
Welcome, everybody. And Nicole from Germany. Good to see you also. And everybody else on the YouTube and everywhere else, good to see all of you. Thank you very much for coming. I think it's important to have this message. I will start with a very interesting situation that we had 2 or 3 hours ago. Lara was with us also. We had another group of almost 30 people who did the pledge. I will speak about this pledge in a moment, in front of 3 Jewish people, and it was I think we had there something like almost 20 countries, something like that. I didn't catch all of the countries, but we had a lot of countries from all over the world, and it's amazing to see. We had 4 different languages there in the Zoom room, and it is amazing to see how the prophets from 2,400 years ago coming alive with all of the people around. I'm really, it's bringing some sort of excitement to know that we are living in those days. I think that it's something that to really acknowledge and to thank God, because if we can start to understand the situation, we can also bring peace to the world. So it's the beginning, but I'm sure that it will grow up as it is growing up already. So I want tonight to address a bit something different than the usual, especially because in the last week, I got so many phone calls from people all over the world, and especially from the United States, who are asking us, how come we dare to get connected with Netiv? Well, the truth is that Netiv will get connected with the Noahide World Center. And how come we're doing this step, and why are we doing this? And so I want to explain for a moment something from the fundamental issues that we have. And I will show a bit of sources for that, and we'll start to realize what exactly we want to do in the big, I will say,
picture,
broader dream of this thing. Okay, how exactly we're going to open everything. And for that, I want to start with Frank, good to see you also. Netzach. So I want to start, with your permission, with something of the parsha that we read this week. Okay, so we need to jump for a moment. I didn't organize it yet. Okay, so we need to jump for a moment to Genesis and to see something very small from the parsha, only a sentence, and we need to understand this thing. We have the fight between Esau and Jacob, and the fight is not a pleasant fight. I will say it like that.
No fight is.
No fight, it's true, but here we're speaking about the question of the generations, okay? Who is going to continue on with the stage of Abraham that is going to be the blessings for the world? And Esau want this blessing, Jacob want this blessing, Isaac wanted that it will be splitted between Jacob and Esau, but Rivka, the mother, because of the prophet that she got, decided that everything is supposed to be on Jacob, and Jacob is going out. I'm going to show this in a moment in the verses, okay? Jacob is going out from the family to start to build himself as the new, from Jacob to Israel, something new, okay? New identity inside him. He's going to grow up. He's going to take some of the identity that was supposed to stay by Esau with himself. But for doing this, before he is going out, he is going and learning somewhere for 14 years. What exactly is job supposed to be? Again, he is doing a stop for 14 years, and he's learning from someone what exactly he's supposed to become. And when he will finish it, he will go to Laban. He will be there for 21 years. And when he will return back, he will fight the angel and he will get the new name. And the new name will be Israel, not only Jacob, but also Israel. And Jacob is the only father who have two names that we can play with the names. Once we can call him Jacob, and in other places we're calling him Israel. And there's a meaning inside the Bible when we're calling him this and that. But what I want to show now is to whom he's going, from whom he's going to learn what exactly is his mission in life, okay? So let's look for a moment. I think that this is yes. No, sorry. Let's go back 2 chapters. Okay, this is what we read yesterday on the Shabbat, and it starts here, okay, Jacob.
And Jacob left Beersheba and he went to Haran.
Okay, no, you can read another 2 verses.
And he arrived at the place and lodged there because the sun had set, and he took some of the stones of the place and placed them at his head, and he lay down in that place. 12, and he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the ground, and its top reached to the heaven, and behold, angels of Hashem were ascending and descending upon it.
Fine, this is enough. The only thing that I want to mention here at this point is that he dreamed. What exactly he dreamed? We don't know. But the dream, the meaning of the dream is that there is some sort of a ladder between the heaven and earth. Okay? The dreaming of the Hebrew people is something that is contagion. It's like a virus that is spreading over. After that, we will see this, that Joseph is dreaming, and the people in the cell with him also will dream. And then they will go out and Pharaoh will dream. This is something that is in the Hebrew tradition, the dreaming. When you and me, Dan, learned the Kuzari book, it starts with a dream. Okay, the dreaming, and when we also trying to speak about coming back to Israel, we're saying that we were like a dreaming. B'Shir HaMa'alot, B'Shuv Hashem Shivat Zion, when God will return to Zion, Hayinu Kecholmim, we will be dreaming. So he was dreaming, and the dream is, the understanding of the dream is that he is managing to have the connection between God in heaven and the things in earth, okay, the people in earth. How exactly this is working? It's by praying. This is where we're going up to heaven, okay? And by sacrificing is like praying, or by God that is going down to the earth and giving us the Torah. So those are the 2 ways how the ladder is working, but it all starts with the dreaming. I want us to see for a moment, it's a very long Rashi on verse number 9, okay, verse number 9, And I'm not going to show all of the Rashi, or we're not going to read all Rashi because it's very complicated, as you can see here. If you want homework, I was high school principal, so I'm giving you homework. Go and learn this. It's
what chapter is that, Rabbi?
This is chapter 28, and we're speaking about Rashi for verse number 9, that you didn't read this verse. And the main thing I want to show here, okay, is that this is the main sentence I want you to read. And except for that, the rest of this Rashi, it's a lot of calculation. Go and learn it. But please read
that sentence. The sentence reads, "We learn from here that he hid for 14 years in the house of Eber, and afterwards he went to Haran."
So before he's going to fulfill his mission, he is learning from Eber. Eber is the main, I will say,
son of Shem,
father of the Hebrew people. Eber, okay? Eber is the main, if you will do the calculation, you will see that he was still alive. He lived for a long time and he was still alive. Who exactly is Eber? So let's jump back to learn for a moment. What is the dreaming of Eber? What is his, I will say, purpose in life? How he understands his purpose of life? So let's jump back to chapter 10. In chapter 10, we have 70 nations. Okay, please read verse number 1.
"And these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and sons were born to them after the flood."
Fine, this is enough. We have here now in this chapter 70 nations. In part, one of the nations is that this one. Just a moment. I think it's here. I hope it's here. And I didn't. Oh, yes, fine. Read verse number 25.
25, "And to Eber were born 2 sons. One was named Peleg, because in his days the earth was divided, and the name of his brother was Joktan."
Fine. So we have 2 people, Eber, okay? And one of them is Peleg. And then at the continuous of this thing, it also Abraham will come. So Eber is a forefather of Abraham, of those 2
lineage,
of Jacob, of Abraham and Jacob. Let's read for a moment Rashi and verse number 25. Okay, let's read Rashi to understand why he called this his son in the name of Peleg. Peleg in Hebrew is divided, is being splitted. Okay, so let's read for a moment in verse number 25, please.
25, "Was divided. The tongues became confused, and they were scattered from the valley and were dispersed throughout the entire world. We learned that Eber was a prophet, since he named his son for a future event." I.e. resembles the word meaning dispersed. Yeah.
Is meaning dispersed, yes.
"And we learned in the Seder Olam, chapter 1, at the end of his Peleg's days, they were dispersed. For if you say that they were dispersed at the beginning of his days, behold, his brother Joktan was his junior."
I think you can stop here. Okay. Again, it's another calculation. Go do your homework and you can read it and everything else. The main thing I want to show here is that we have someone here that is a prophet, and he's naming his son under the thing that he is dreaming. Okay, he is dreaming that there won't be any splitted in this earth, and we want to combine everybody together. This is why he is calling him. Don't forget that we got all of us dispersed. I want us to become together back. So Eber, he's dreaming that we will be able to come back to reunite together. But it's very important to understand. He is not asking to go back to get reunite together and to become all of us the same thing. It depends that there is some sort of a separation, that each one have his uniqueness. But he is saying there will be a time that we will manage to come back together. And this is what Jacob is going and learning before he is becoming, I will say, Israel. Where do I see that? And how do I see that? Let's jump for a moment, 2 chapters, and let's see what exactly God is saying. Just a moment, let me move this that it won't disturb me. What is God promising Abraham? Okay, and we remember that this is a very important verse. We don't need to see Rashi now. When God is saying to Abraham, go forth from your family and everything else, please read verse number 3.
And I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse, and all the families of the earth shall be blessed in you.
All the families of the earth shall be blessed in you. Let's jump for a moment again to chapter, it was chapter 26, where Jacob is dreaming. No, I missed it. Where is it?
28.
Maybe, yes. Yes. He is dreaming, okay? He is dreaming about the ladder, right? And then
13.
Please read verse number 13 and 14.
13. And behold, the Lord was standing over him, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. The land upon which you are lying to you, I will give it to your seed, and your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall gain strength westward and eastward and northward and southward, and through you shall be blessed all the families of the earth, and through your seed.
The same blessings. You see here the same blessing that we saw with Abraham now. After Jacob is sitting down by Abel for 14 years, he understands that his job, and this is what God is expecting him to become Israel, and to bless all the families on the earth, of the earth. The same thing that God said to Abraham, he's saying to Jacob. And at the end of the next parasha, the next what we're going to read this Shabbat, we're going to read how God is giving him the name of Israel. Okay, the name of Israel is also the meaning in a higher level. Jacob is something very uniquely only for himself. Israel is something for the nations. I won't go inside to the Hebrew understanding of that. So we have a nation who is dreaming. Okay, the purpose of this nation. They are dreaming. What are they dreaming? They're dreaming how to bless all the families of the earth and how to reunite all of us together. How are we going to do that? So we're not going to do this as people that are sitting in all sorts of places in the world. We're going to do this as a nation who is sitting down in one place, like God said to Abraham. Okay, and this is what he's saying to him also in verse number 15. I'm going to bring you back to this land. And in this land, in this Hebrew land, we're going to sit down. And from this Hebrew land, we're going to bless all the other nations by speaking with all of them. But now I have a question. Are we going to ask everybody to become the same thing exactly? The answer is no. Listen good to what I'm saying now. It's very important. Are we going to ask people from India, people from the United States, people from Canada, people from Africa, people from Europe to behave exactly in the same way and to become exactly the same people? The answer is no. No. Each one of those communities are going to have their uniqueness, I will say it like that. Some uniqueness, but there is some sort of a mainstream that everybody will have, and there will be also some uniquenesses to each one of the communities around. And this is part of the understanding of this world. The world is not everybody the same. If everybody will be the same, so some of us are useless here because we don't need
redundant.
We don't need, yeah, exactly. This is a good word also. We don't need the people that will be multiply the same and will act the same thing. So each one of us have his uniqueness as an individual and also as communities. And on the other side, we have some sort of one I'll say string, or one thing that is combining us together. I want to leave this for a moment alone and to say something, to teach something else. What I want to teach now is something that is related with the written Bible and oral Bible of the Hebrew tradition. God gave us on Mount Sinai the oral Bible. On the other side, he also gave us a written Bible. The written Bible, we all know it. It's also for the nations. We had one of the commandments that we got with the written Bible is that we're supposed to translate it to 70 languages. 70 languages, the meaning of this is to all of the languages in the world. I saw once in my life a book with 2,000 pages, that each page is only the first chapter of the Bible in different language. A long history, someone organized all of those things to one book, and you have it in somewhere in the world that there is a book like that we translated the written Bible to all of the languages. But the oral language was very closed inside the Hebrew tradition, the oral language. Let me surprise you all. For the first 1,400 years, again, I'm saying the number, the first 1,400 years, we had no debates about the oral language. Everything was closed. There was a system how to close all the arguments between the rabbis.
Until Hillel and Shammai?
Until Hillel and Shammai, yes. In a moment, I'm going to show this. Until Hillel and Shammai. All the arguments that happened or that came in front of the rabbis, there was a system how to close this argument and to decide what to do. And if someone decided not to listen to this, decision of the sages, they killed him. Hard, but it's happening. It happened like that. For the first 1,400 years, we had no arguments about the halachic way how to behave until Hillel and Shammai. But we need to understand Hillel and Shammai. Maybe I have it here in a straight ahead. If I do, it's okay. If not, here it is. It's hard. Oh no, it's not this one. Sorry. It's hard to see it or to read it. I don't have it in. Oh, maybe it's here.
I've got you on a big screen. I can read it clear.
Here it is. Maybe it's here. Maybe I put it here. Okay. It starts a bit before Hillel and Shammai. It's chapter 2 of the Chagiga, Masechet Chagiga. It's one of the things that we have in the Mishnah. And we have here, okay, Yosef ben Yoezer says not to lean hands on the Chagiga sacrifice. And Yosef ben Yochanan says to lead hands. And then we have, after that, you can read it here, 5 like that, okay? Bet Shammai says they bring peace offering on Yom Tov and do not lay their hands on them. But Bet Hillel is saying something else. But we need to realize this is the first argument that we didn't compromise. We didn't come to a decision who is right. Since then, we have thousands of arguments that we have all sorts of ideas how to finalize them. I want to explain for a moment that it will be clear when I'm saying that there is an argument and we didn't decide how to finalize, how to act. I want to give an example. On Passover, for example, we all know that the Hebrew tradition, we have no permission to eat bread. We have only permission to eat matzah. Bread is something that is with the wheat that
with leaven.
It grew up. It's a bit thick.
Yeah.
And the matzah doesn't have this thickness. So this is all the Hebrew tradition. It doesn't mind any. From where you came, you're not eating bread. On the other side, some of our communities are eating rice, and some of them are not eating rice. rice, the white rice that we have. For example, I'm in a family that came from Europe, and in our family, we are not eating rice. My sister, 40 years ago, got married with someone who is Yemenite, and they are eating rice. And for years, I was visiting my sister on Passover, on the 7 days of Passover, and she was putting rice on the table, and her kids ate rice, and my kid didn't eat rice. For her, it's allowed on Passover, and for me, it's not allowed on Passover. So we're not saying that we are not Jewish people, or we are not Jewish people, or something like that. There is inside the Jewish Orthodox stream, there is the boundaries, who is inside and who is outside. But inside those boundaries, there are a few ways how to behave. And there is also a way how the rabbis are speaking one with each other to discuss or to decide what is inside the boundaries, what is outside the boundaries. And we are all waiting that the Temple Mount will be built again, and the prophecy will return back, and we will manage to build up, I will say, the structure again, how to decide what to do and what not to do, what is allowed and what is not allowed, to whom what allowed and to whom it's not allowed, and everything else. But till then, we have inside the Hebrew tradition few streams of rabbis and few ways how to behave. Fair enough. There are also things that are outside the boundaries. For example, idolatry, to believe in Jesus, it's outside the boundaries. For example, we all know that. There is a big argument between the rabbis, for example, okay? The Maimonides is saying, for example, that if you want to become a Noahide, the best thing or the thing that you need to do is to do the pledge in front of 3 acknowledged Hebrew people. 200 years after him, the Ritva, from another string of rabbis, I won't go inside all of the strings and everything else, he is giving an interpretation on one of the Talmudic books that we have, okay, the Babylon Talmud, that you need to do this only with yourself. You don't need to do it in front of 3 rabbis. And there are rabbis who are saying, this is what you need to do. Do for yourself, state that you are a Noahide. And there are other rabbis like us who are saying, no, do the best thing. Not only state by yourself, but also state it in front of 3 rabbis. Both of them are in the boundaries of the Hebrew tradition, okay, of the Hebrew rabbis. Is this one is a better one, or this one is a better one? I don't know. Go stick to one of your rabbis and be with this. Those who want to go with us, we are saying to you, the best is that you will do also the one that in front of 3 rabbis. There are those who are saying, no, it's only, we don't need to do that. You can do this for yourself. Fine. Those are 2 things inside the boundaries of the Hebrew halacha. You can go with this rabbi, you can go with the other one, a rabbi. But don't forget, those are still inside the same room, okay, the same thing. How exactly the halachic will be when the prophet will come back and we will have all this thing of the Mount Temple and to organize how exactly do the things, I don't know what to say. I know that there are 2 main ways how to behave. And the same thing again with the Shabbat, for example, where there are rabbis who are saying the Noahide people are not allowed to do the Shabbat or to keep the Shabbat. They are not against lighting candles and sitting on the table and learning the Torah. They are against of doing the full Shabbat. And there are other rabbis, big rabbis, great rabbis, who are saying that the Noahide allowed to do Shabbat. By the way, we are holding this way, and we are still saying to people, it's not preferable, but you can do that. Okay, but we need to realize that inside the boundaries, there are few ways, and the main thing is how to stick or to have someone from Jerusalem that will guide you, someone that is related with the Hebrew rabbis that will guide you, someone that is going with you. And this is basically what is happening today, and especially with the Netiv that asked, after all of the things that they saw, the Netiv community, that they want also connection with the rabbis of Israel. It's not a secret, okay? I had all the exams of the rabbi. I was working as a Rosh Yeshiva, as a rabbi in Israel for 15 years. Rabbi Sherki is a rabbi. He's also today doing some sort of a thing with his community. Rabbi Sherki is acknowledged from the chief rabbis of Israel. The book that we are showing all the time of the Brit Shalom, and also the Brit Olam, the prayer book, have the recommendation of the chief rabbis of Israel. These chief rabbis, the one before them, 3 generations of chief rabbis of Israel. Okay, so when the chief rabbis of Israel want or need some Noahide, they're not starting to ask all sorts of, I don't know what groups or anything else. They approaching Rabbi Sherki, and they are asking us to bring them a Noahide, and they're not doing to him any ceremony or something like that, because the ceremony that we're doing to them is enough for them. They're acknowledging this ceremony and everything else. So if you want to be connected with the rabbis in Israel, as the prophets are saying, that the Torah will come from Zion and from Jerusalem, you can be connected with us. You can also go to other rabbis. It's okay. We have no fear if some rabbi will say to us, they don't know how to decide the halacha. I'm deciding something else. So you can decide something else. It's okay. We have no fear with this. It's fine. There are some people who are a bit outside from the range. I don't want to speak about them. I think that it's all clear and people knows everything. I prefer to speak only good things about the people that we can go on. And if you have any personal question, don't hesitate to ask us about someone else or someone this or someone like that. And I think that we had with Netzach a very deep and profound discussion how to decide who are your rabbis that you're going after. One of the good things that happened lately is with this thing of Netiv, who said, no, we want to be connected also with the Noahide, and we are very happy with this. And I think that even though there was once things that they did, I think that today we're all starting to understand. And this is what the main thing I want to say. I think that the Noahide World Center is giving an umbrella to all of the people who want to become Noahide, all the communities all over the world. And we know that some of those people and some of the communities sometimes also speaking things without the 100% responsibility, that I, as a rabbi, can't say this is 100% the halacha. If you want to know the exact halacha, the commandments, what exactly God is asking you, we wrote down the Brit Shalom book. Okay, if you have questions, if you have something unclear, ask us. We are here, thank God we are alive, we are still working, we are teaching those books, we can teach them again, we can go. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. If you want to go with the other rabbis about details, fine, we have no problem. Excellent. We don't think that everybody's supposed to be like ducks after us. I'm saying this loud and clear. We're also not afraid to have on our side, a very good rabbi who is teaching for the Noahides, and saying from time to time things that he doesn't agree with us 100%. Fine. So he doesn't supposed to agree with us. We're not getting the acknowledgement from one rabbi or the other rabbi. We got our acknowledgement from the chief rabbis of Israel. It's enough for us. If someone doesn't want 100% to go with us, it's okay. I think that I'm speaking very clear with what I'm speaking here. And I think that also those rabbis took one step backwards yesterday, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Rabbi Kaufman, Chaim Kaufman. This all started last week because he made a comment on his Noahide Nation show that the certificate before 3 rabbis was tissue paper. And I really, had a lot of conversation with him all week long to show him the actual benefits of doing such. And we discussed in how it allows the connection of the rabbis to actually work with the potential leaders in Noahide communities and aid them in establishing while maintaining that rabbinical structure through Israel. And he couldn't deny that. And so he did. I don't want to say a full recant. At the beginning of my Pirkei Avos show yesterday, he we clarified it for the first 10 minutes of the show. And, he kind of, pulled back his position that there is usefulness to it.
Fine. And by the way, I think that I showed it already once, and it's not a problem to show this again. The Maimonides is saying loud and clear that this is what you need to do. And it's okay that others are going with other things, and we're not afraid from those things. Again, to give umbrella to the whole world, we know from the beginning that not everybody will go 100% with everything that we're saying. Think about this for a moment. But we also need to realize that not everybody is supposed to be the same thing.
Right.
Okay? I will tell you a secret. I have a very deep connection with Vilnius. I think that Dan know that also from 3 years ago. Wonderful people up there. And they have different costume of things. And some of the people of this world prefer to be much more with rituals. Some of the people of this world prefer to have much more emphasis on learning the Torah. Others will be with more emphasis of getting connected with Israel. Think for a moment, the world have 7 billion people.
Right.
Do you really think that everybody will be the same? No, but we have a structure. The structure is the 7 laws of the Noahide. We give also the Brit Shalom. If someone wants to say a few nuance inside a bit different, it's okay. Everything with the footnotes, everything with the rabbis that are discussing those things. Fine. We are not afraid of people who are saying a bit different than us. But on the other side, and this is very important, we are giving an umbrella of connection with Israel, with the rabbis of Israel. Of course, if someone will say things that are outside of these boundaries, we will say that. Okay, if someone will say that today you have a what we call the Ger Toshav. We don't have a Ger Toshav yet. Unfortunately, we don't have it. Now, it's also a very big difference between the immigration of Israel and the halachic side. It's not 100% all the time together. Okay, even if you are doing a Noahide, okay, the declaration, and then you want to come to Israel and you will say, but I'm a Ger Toshav, I need to live in Israel. The immigration of Israel is working a bit different, and not everybody will be able to live in Israel, and it's okay.
Yeah, be clear, it's not a visa.
Reasonable, and not everybody is supposed to live in Israel, and not everybody wants to live in Israel. So we don't have yet Ger Toshav, and let's not confuse things and say.
Overreach is sometimes a problem with a lot of people. People tend to overreach, and I try to avoid profaning anything. And I find that I've met many Noahides that want more ritual, and that's not for me. I don't want more ritual. I want to understand exactly what is the Torah position and the message, and let it actually integrate into our lives so we can make the world a better place in our daily function.
This is fine, Dan, and we also know that there are others who prefer to learn more the ritual and to do the ritual, and it's also fine. And there are those who wants to. By the way, I will give another example, okay?
Yeah, conversion is an option.
Rabbi Feinstein was a very great rabbi in the United States.
Yes.
He lived till something like 30 years ago. Rabbi Feinstein was, everybody is learning his knowledge and everything else. By the way, he started in Vilnius. In Vilna also, he was a Litvak. He was in those places before the war, and then he went to the United States. He is stating in one of his places that the Noahide people are not allowed to do anything except for the 7 mitzvot. Nothing else. They're not allowed to do anything. Now, I don't want to go inside exactly how he's learning it and everything else. It doesn't matter at all. I really don't care. Not that I don't care, okay? We have a list of other rabbis who are speaking differently and doing things differently, and this is why we decided to go on the halachic with the other side. It's one of the reasons why we decided. It's also because a lot of people are asking us to do active commandments, because all of the 7 mitzvot, all the 7 commandments are very not to do, okay? Most of the people are not stealing, are not killing, are not doing all sorts of violent things. And people are asking us if we want to do action, an action to get connected with God. Also, Rabbi Feinstein, who is saying that you're not allowed to do anything, he's saying that you are allowed to pray to God. And he have a very reasonable explanation. He says that if you have difficulties, for example, with someone that is very ill, or that you have difficulties with your what we call parnasa, that you need money for living, and you're not praying to any idolatry, but you're praying to God, this is acceptance of God, and this is for sure something that the Noahide is supposed to do. This is what he is saying. So you have someone here that is on the main side of the boundary who is saying you're not allowed, Noahide is not allowed to do anything except for praying. And you have other rabbis who are saying, no, Noahide is allowed to do everything, including to keep the full Shabbat. I'm speaking about rabbis who are living today, and also Rabbi, the Chaim, who lived in the time of the Rabbi Feinstein, and he's a Mishnah Berurah, he's one of the greatest. This is how he's learning Rabbi Yosef Karo, the Shulchan Aruch. Because it's recorded, I'm saying those sources, so if one rabbi somewhere in the world will listen to this lesson, he will go inside to find it. So the Chafetz Chaim is learning that the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo, is allowing, is demanding, okay, from each Noahide to keep the full Shabbat. So you have those two on the boundaries of the Hebrew rabbis. And there will be those on the ritual side that will go with Rabbi Feinstein, and those on the ritual side that will go with Rabbi, the Chafetz Chaim and the Khatam Sofer. Fine. They're still in the boundaries. And we know that the world is very big, 7 billion people. So some of them will go on this path, and some of them will go on the other path, and it's okay. It's okay. Let's calm down for a moment, you know. The main thing that the Noahide World Center is giving, the umbrella for everybody to be on this thing. And we have today communities all over the world. And I think that it's a big blessing when people like Netiv and others are understanding that this is the situation and this is how we need to work together. And this is a way to combine the world to one place. Now, let me be clear. We have an English community in England. It's going to be all totally different than the United States. Not only because they speak in different English. This you all know. I know, Linda, I know. But by the way, earlier today, I met with the Australian people that we have usually in the class, and I spoke with them about the problem that they're speaking English with a hot potato in the mouth. Okay, we all know that also, the accent of the Australian people. This is life. This is how it's working. Believe me, when it will continue on, it will progress on, you will see, we will all see that there's a difference between the community in England and the community of the United States and the community of Australia, even though all of them are speaking English. And it's sure, for sure it will be that, because the community in England have different habits, different culture, different things. The community in the United States have different things, and the community in Australia have different things. And this is why there will be nuance inside there.
Variety.
It will be a bit similar. And for sure, the people in Netherlands are going to have something a bit different. And the people in Africa are going to have also something different. And inside Africa, there will be also differences between the tribes there and the things that will happen. When we're looking for a moment, in open eyes, and we understand what is happening in this world, we understand that there will be, the umbrella is going to be very broad with people that will be inside for the guidance of the rabbis. And this is why we are not afraid if someone is coming and saying a bit different than us, it's fine. When someone is starting to say, but only he is right and everybody else is wrong, this is where we can start to ask ourselves if he is really right. This is something that we need to remember. And it's true that we have also a way how to acknowledge who is a rabbi. And rabbis also those who have roots, okay, that they are learning from other rabbis, and who are their great rabbis, and all those things. Netzach already gave us a very big lecture with this, and because of that, we also we gave all the names of the rabbis of Rabbi Sherki, and my rabbis, and other people that are working here in the Noahide World Center. And I'm really happy for the stage that people are starting to realize that this is how the Noahide World Center is going to work in this world. Not only the Noahide World Center, the Noahide movement of this world. And this is why also today, I think that we had an amazing situation where we saw that we had in the room 27 people, something like 5 or 7 from Turkish language, and Lara translated them for them, and they did the pledge in the Turkish language. We had people in the Russian language from a few places in the Russia country, and then we had people, I don't even remember all the places now. I wrote it down, but something like, each one of them, one from Germany, one from Netherlands, one from I don't know, I can look on the paper, it's in the other room, exactly, all the places. And people spoke in few languages, and it was amazing to see how we can join together in the same room, have the same dream. I'm going back to the dream of Jacob, have the same dream, and starting to work together to bring this dream to reality. This is where all of us supposed to put on our channel to say to ourselves, very good, we're on the right path. Today, all of us are the leaders of the next generation. And this is why we are putting a lot of emphasis to teach this Genesis, because the Genesis is the book where we are learning, I will say, in three levels, between man and himself, man and his fellow man, and man in God. Remember those 3 levels? Next week, I'm going to explain this in a profound way. This will be the lesson of next week. How we can see in all of Genesis, those 3 levels. How God is coming to this world and managing, God and man, and managing to build up the relationship. And only then he can give us he can start to appear in front of us with the 10 punishments to the Egyptians and the 10 commandments to the Hebrew nation. And from there, he can start to speak in this world, because he built up the right foundation on those 3 realms, man in himself, man in his fellow man, and man in God. This is Genesis. This is why it's very important for me, for all of us, to teach it, step by step, in a profound way, and each week by itself have a lot of ideas, but also when you're starting to gather all of this together, you're starting to realize how much it's giving the foundation of the world. And I'm saying also, one of the things that we're saying more and more, again and again, the Hebrew tradition and the Hebrew Bible is the only one in the old ancient, I'm speaking about something that we have already for more than 4,000 years, that is saying that we all started from one man. Also, the woman came from him, from one man. And the understanding of that is that we will be able to become united together. Think about this. If we started from one, we will be able to come back and to be united together. All the other ancient, I don't know how to call it, Greeks and the ancient Systems, Rome and the ancient, I don't know, everybody, all the stories are speaking about they started and all the rest came after them. And the meaning of this is that nobody will be able ever to come together and to unite together. And this is one of the main things that we have. And we see today the seeds of this. I don't know if we will manage to see everything in our lives. Hopefully, yes. If everything will happen in the next coming few years, hopefully we'll have to see it in our lives. Maybe we won't see it in our lives, but I'm sure that we will leave the world in a better shape for the next generation, because we can see this today already on the Zoom room. And now hopefully soon the coronavirus will vanish and we'll start to do also meetings in Jerusalem,
person,
in other places of the world, like we did already in this summer and in other things. So in our eyes, we can see today already the seeds of those things, the beginning of those things. So it's amazing to see it. And I'm really
yes, and hopefully everybody out there that's listening will work at nurturing those.
Excellent. So now, if anyone have something to say, to ask, to note, I don't know, feel comfortable, whatever it is. Yes, Lisette.
I have fear.
Lisette, I must say that I'm admiring Lisette because she stayed in the Zoom room already since an hour earlier than the time. Okay, fine.
Thank you. I have a fear though. My fear is the following. This movement is nonstop, okay? It's unstoppable. I'm so happy, I'm so glad. And I remember my days when I was alone and nobody knew anything about Noahide. And to see that what is happening now and the shelter and the umbrella that you're giving us from Israel makes me truly happy. But I have a fear. Many people are jumping in and they are seeing the Noahide movement as with the same eyes and the same habits of a religion that they had before. Okay? Believing, accepting, not thinking, not investigating, and it's a fear that I have that they will turn it into one more religion of what was before, you know? So I don't know. What can you recommend us to teach and to show people how to do that? Okay, like what are the main things that we must encourage people to do so that this doesn't happen, especially in Latin America. I don't know in other countries, but Latin Americans are very much into that. And I see many Noahides that are like another religion. It's like, oh yeah, I am Catholic and I'm not, I'm a Protestant, but it's the same thing. They're not seeing the beauty and the difference and the liberty, the freedom to be a Noahide, to embrace diversity, like you were just saying. Everybody is different. We must be proud of our country, our culture, and how we have evolved and embrace that and still serve God because He made us, He created us, and He created a diverse world. We don't have to follow the same, but we need to learn our law. And we also need,
but there's still only one Torah.
It's a and there's still one thought.
No. First of all, look, what you're saying here is very good. And you can see that I wish I could say that it's only for the Latin countries, okay? There's something similar that happened also in other countries. Not all of the countries. I want to show here for a moment, another very important Rashi, okay? And then we will speak about what to show to people. I think that I didn't show this here. Just a moment, let me share the screen. Now, it's going to blow your minds. So please be aware from what I'm going to show you now, okay? We know the story in Genesis, and the story in Genesis is going like that people, the brothers sold up Joseph. He went to Egypt. When he was in Egypt, he became the prince, and he was ruling all the Egypt. There was a famine, and all of the family of Jacob came to Egypt, right? This is more or less the story in nutshell. But I want to show for a moment something that was written down. Rashi is bringing it from the Midrash. This is how we are reading the Bible, okay? And it says like that. that when Jacob came to Israel, so God is the Bible is mentioning or describing and mentioning all the names of people who came from Israel, and it was also 70. By the way, the number 70 is coming a few times in the Genesis. It's beginning in chapter 10. We saw chapter 10 before, where we have 70 nations. Then we have 70 kids.
Clans?
70 kids that we have from Terach, father of Abraham, that is being mentioned in the Genesis. Then we have 70, I forgot the third one, and the last 70 that we have is here with the names of Israel, okay, who came to Israel to Egypt. But I want to show you something else. When we're finishing to say all the names, okay, we have a very interesting verse, and the verse is saying like that. Please read verse number 26.
26. All the souls coming to Egypt with Jacob, those descended from him, excluding the wives of Jacob's sons, all the souls were 66.
And with the
all right,
sons
all
of
the
Joseph
souls.
No, just a moment. With the wives and everything else, it was 70 people, okay? Who came to Egypt was 70, because we're also calculating the
right.
kids of Joseph.
That's from chapter 47.
Now I want you to read this Rashi.
I found in Leviticus Rabbah 4:6, Esau had 6 souls in his family, and the text calls them the souls of his household from Genesis 36:6, in the plural because they worshiped many gods in his family, each his or her own deity. Jacob had 70 souls, but the text calls them in the singular because they all worshiped one God.
Do you realize what is happening here? Esau, who had only 6 people, they're speaking about there are a lot of souls there because each one of them worshipped different God. Jacob, who had 70 people, we're speaking about one soul. Why one soul? Because they are all worshiping one God. I think that the most important point here in this Rashi and in this part of Genesis, when we compare the souls of Jacob and the souls of Esau, that when we are all worshiping one God, we are united together.
Right.
And the main thing of the Noahide movement is that we are all worshiping one God. And we will be able to be united together, opposed to a situation where people are worshiping let's say the Christian God, and then one is getting split from the church and is building another church, a few houses on the same block, and another one is getting splitted and is building another church. No. We're speaking about everybody's worshiping one God who is in the state of Israel, God of the world, God who created the universe. I think this is the first point that is supposed to be said when someone is coming to the Noahide movement. Second thing that is supposed to be said very loud and clear is, as you said also, the freedom of choice, the decision if to worship God or not to worship God. I think I have one of the courses on Udemy that is explaining this, and you can all see this there. What is exactly the freedom that we have, the point of the freedom of choice that we have. And another thing that all of you, I think, all of us who are sitting here, not supposed to be shy to put from time to time an idea on their Facebook, on their Instagram, on their YouTube. We all have friends, we all have people, we all have, we can do those things. We can speak, we can invite people inside to the lessons. And there are a lot of lessons that are good lessons. Okay, not only Chaim Goldberg is giving lessons. Also the Noahide World Center have more lessons, and also a Netiv you can find lessons. We have now Rabbi Carmi, I don't know if you remember him.
Rabbi Ingber in Atlanta.
Rabbi Ingber, that is going to start also lessons on the Noahide but also is related with the Netiv and everything else. There are good lessons that you can learn, and you can start to open your mind, and not to stay with the understanding that it's only a religion. Now, on the other side is it is true that some of the people, you have, when you're speaking about masses of people, some are more knowledgeable, some are less, some are more, seeking insight of the truth, some are less. This is how the world is working. Okay, the Maimonides is saying something a bit, I will say, frightening. He's saying that in this world, usually, the Maimonides and his main book, okay, what we call the Moreh Nevuchim. He's saying that in this world, there may be 1 or 2 or 3 people that are knowledgeable enough, and God created the world for them. So why do we have the rest of the world? So they won't be bored living here in this world. It's hard to say. Now, I'm saying that today we have much more people who are knowledgeable. A lot of people know how to read. A lot of people did at least, 1 degree in the university. And look how many people do we have on this, platform tonight, not only tonight. Okay, on the YouTube channel of the Noahide World Center, and on the YouTube channel of other groups who are working. By the way, on the English side, we have X people, but we have also the same size on the Russian YouTube, and we have also a French YouTube, and we have also Portuguese YouTube. Okay, and today one of the Hebrew rabbis in the Portuguese YouTubes, he came to us and he said to us, look, I have 60,000 people in Portuguese, and I want to start to teach also the Noahide classes, okay? And we have someone else in Portuguese tonight that came to us and said, I have 120,000 Portuguese. Now, I'm asking you, is all of those people, of the Portuguese people, all of them are knowledgeable 100%, all of them are, no. And those are levels, there are levels in this world, we know that. But we need to do our best. We need to be all the time on one side open-minded to accept everybody, because every person here have a soul, and God is with him. God is also inside him in some sort of a spark of God. And hopefully he will be clever enough to go one step ahead, and not only to do things on a ritual side, but also to do things in a much more profound side. Do we know exactly who and how? We don't know. I remember the first time I went to Australia, it was almost 26 years ago, and I was amazed to see in Thailand, the airport in Thailand, because when we landed, I saw, and I came from England, okay? I flew to England, and I was in one of the main airports in England.
Heathrow?
Yes, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. To come suddenly to Thailand and to see so many airplanes, so many people at once, even in Heathrow, we didn't have so many things. So many people, and to say to yourself, the Hebrew nation, with all the respect, maybe you are very important people, but there are many people in the world. Does everybody is very smart? I don't know. There are people who are smarter than me, but we need to work hard and to bring the truth to the world. And hopefully, again, today people are much more smart than 400 years ago when we didn't have the writing. And today you can have all the knowledge inside the internet. Everybody can do it. You know what's happening today in Africa? I can tell you because I know a bit how it's working. In Israel, okay, people are buying the devices, okay, and in Israel, the devices every few months we bring new devices. So all devices are being formatted and going back to Africa. They don't have computers, but they have the devices, and they're speaking with us. They're learning things, and you're saying to yourself, in Africa, They are naked, but they're knowledgeable. This is how it's working there. What can I do? Believe me, it's a bit embarrassing from time to time. I'm not speaking with them anytime on the,
Public.
with an open camera. I don't know. Some of them are coming to me suddenly naked. I don't know. I'm not doing this. But the truth is, but on the other side, they're knowledgeable. They're learning. Okay. Now you're asking me, is every doctor in Africa is on the same level of the doctors in the United States? I can promise you that no. The answer is no. On the other side, they are much more knowledgeable than 20 years ago. So the world is growing up, and we need to give our input, insight. And all of you are part of the leaders.
So tradition is definitely territorial. I mean, you can have your own individual nuances wherever you are in the world, but still one God is the key and under one banner. And I always encourage to make sure you're connected with a rabbi so that you're on that upright learning curve according to Torah as it was intended.
And connected to rabbis, and I'm saying always all the time, if you won't be connected to rabbis in Israel, it will become a cult. And it's not what the sages spoke. So it's also something very important. And this is why we are more than happy to give this umbrella. Again, for those who are still in the boundaries, if someone is coming to us and saying to us that he is learning from a conservative rabbi, fine, it won't be under the umbrella of the Noahide World Center. It won't be under the umbrella of the traditional rabbis of Israel, because we're not on the conservative, we're not on the reforms. And this is why we are working very hard to try to find also rabbis in all sorts of places. It's not always easy for us. In England, we found someone. In other places, we're struggling a bit more, but we will find in every place rabbis that will go and will continue.
Amen. Beautiful.
More questions and things that bothering you. Frank, everything is clear.
Can I have
Yes,
have a few?
Carlo.
Yes. You talked about there's more than one way. One community says one thing, another community can say something else. And
But there are still clear lines of what's in and what's out.
Inside the lines, exactly.
The boundaries. And I'm wondering, is there more than that? Let's say I'm going to stay inside the boundaries, but I'm not going to go with one or the other, but I'm still inside the boundaries. Or let's say my rabbi says one thing and I have another opinion. Can I have a different opinion than my own rabbi?
First of all, Italo, we are losing the connection. We can't hear you clear enough. Okay. Italo? We can't hear you clear enough, so the question wasn't clear. But if I understand what you're saying, listen for a moment, listen. I will give you a guideline, so it will help you, okay? One of the things that we want to do in the Noahide World Center is to have in Israel a program for leaders. Okay, we don't have it yet. It's also because of the corona, but to have in Israel a program for leaders. And the Noahide the connection is my problem.
Yeah, we lost you for a second there, Rabbi.
Hello, everybody.
You were talking about establishing Noahide leadership classes in Israel. We lost your video feed.
I could hear Rabbi clearly. It didn't interrupt here.
The connection was in my side? The problem with the connection?
For a minute.
No, not for me.
Okay, I didn't. Okay, so let's go back, Italo. I'm sorry. I will start from the beginning. We have a dream, okay? In our vision, in the things that on the table that we need to do, is to have in Israel a leadership course for Noahide, for leadership people. And then you will learn all the boundaries in very depth and to understand exactly. But again, the main point is to have the rabbis that you speak with, and the rabbis that you have the rabbi that you will have the connection in Israel. And there will be leaders. The leaders of the Noahide will be leaders of Noahide, not of the rabbis. And this is part of the dream that we have. Yet, until this moment, we didn't have this leadership course. But it's not that you're going to invent something. It's also very clear in the Rambam, in the Maimonides, and I will show this to you, when we'll do this course and everything. So it's a question of time that we will manage to build up everything, all the system and everything else. But there will be leaders, and the leaders will be the Noahide leaders that will learn in Israel exactly the framework, and what is inside the boundaries and what is outside. And they will have also the connection all the time with the people of Israel, with the rabbis of Israel, to help, to assist, to build up the exact way. And there will be also nuance inside the countries, inside the places. Okay, not all the South American community is the same community. Okay, there are differences between those places.
The question is because, let's say me, and I know that a lot of Noahides are like me. We are isolated from communities. Myself, I hear.
We're growing though.
Rabbis or 4 different rabbis, and you have different opinions, and they're both inside the boundaries. Can you choose? Let's say most of the time I'm with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg with you, and one opinion I prefer this other opinion. Can I choose? Or I'm not inside one community. I'm alone here in Peru.
I think, Italo, you need to do. Of course, you can do that. Of course, you can do that. It's in the boundaries. You can do that. He's a rabbi that have the certificate. He's a rabbi from the chain of Israel inside the boundaries. Of course, you can do that. It's not even a question.
Okay.
It's not that I will say, how to say this. Of course, you need to be aware. There will be a night I will come to you. You won't be able to see me, and then I will punish you because you didn't listen to me for everything I said. Of course, it will come one day, but be reasonable. Of course, you need to live. Everything is fine.
I was wondering how much weight did it have? Second question, number 2. I saw there was a system, let's say a blacklist for books. Like if, I don't know who does it, but if there's a book that they don't recommend, the rabbis, I don't know which rabbis, they say this book you cannot read, no? And I'm wondering if that's the same for content for a rabbi, because sometimes you have you listen to one rabbi and somebody says that is no good, that is against the Torah or something. But that rabbi has a community, he's not excommunicated. Sometimes some people talk bad about a rabbi, but it's just one person. Is there
I think I will say it like this. I think that you have today connection with all of me being humble, okay? You have connection with us, okay, with the Noahide World Center. Don't hesitate, ask us. I think that Dan that knows me for the last 3 years, I think everybody here that knows, Lisette I think knows me already for almost 8 years or 10 years, something like that. I can look in all the emails exactly. I don't think that ever someone heard from me bad words about someone, unless I'm saying, he's out the boundaries. But ask us if you have some sort of hesitation. So ask us. We're not going to say things for the good sake. You can see here, okay? I'm sitting here and I'm saying, look, there is a rabbi that we let him to speak on our platform, even though he is saying bad things against us. We're not afraid. We have the I will say the acknowledgement from the chief rabbis of Israel. So we'll say a few words. Who is he? we're not on the place where we are so afraid not to say other things. But if you know about, or if you have a question about someone, so ask us, discuss with us.
Rabbi, can you take a question from YouTube?
Sometimes,
Yes.
Okay,
I don't want to talk
Vinio is asking, he says, hello, Rabbi. Some teachers make...
Just a moment, Dan, just a moment. Italo, you wanted to finish something.
Yeah, I have asked sometimes, but sometimes you don't want to talk. I hear, like rabbis, they don't want to talk bad about another rabbi, I imagine, or maybe you don't discuss other rabbis. I've asked before. I've asked them.
So we are very, I will say,
Any rabbis, but
so we're trying to be very careful, and it's not so easy. There are a lot of times that we going backwards and we speak discussing between ourselves, the rabbis, and we're not saying few things.
Public.
It's true, but we're trying. Wherever it's going outside the boundaries, you will know it.
okay. One more thing. Sorry if I'm taking too much time. You were talking about you're waiting for to build the temple, for prophecy to work out the little things inside the boundaries between communities. And I heard that prophecy was that for halacha. Prophecy is prophecy.
No. You're right. I didn't explain everything. We are waiting that the prophecy will come back. We will build up the temple, and there is a system, not the prophecy. There's a system how to close the boundaries and to discuss it inside. Okay, it's not related with the prophecy. You're right. The prophecy is not halacha. You're more than right. I didn't explain this in depth.
Yes. Too many people like to live in a round room so they don't get cornered, and you need to see that there's a negative behavior in that pattern, and people just don't want to be cornered. But Torah is about letting Hashem put us in line, and the steps of a good person are ordered by Hashem, and we need to let the rabbis clarify exactly what that order is.
Fine.
Okay, Rabbi, there was one question from Venio online. He's asking, hello, Rabbi. He says, some teachers make reference to 7 categories of laws instead of the 7 laws. Can you give your wisdom on that? Thank you.
I think that if you're taking the Brit Shalom book, you will see that this is exactly what we did. We took the 7 laws and we expanded it much more. Exactly, the Brit Shalom book. It's very clear. First of all, each law is getting a lot of explanation and a lot of border, except for the law itself. And we have also other chapters that are explaining and showing much more things. Now, when you're saying that there are rabbis, let me remind everybody here that there are 2 main sources about the amount of commandments that Noah got. One is being mentioned in Sanhedrin. Again, because it's being recorded, I'm saying everything, so people will then look after that, okay? A bit of homework. One is being mentioned in Sanhedrin, and there is a few pages there that explaining the 7 laws of Noah. But in Chulin, it's another book of the Babylon Talmud. It's being mentioned that there are 31 halachot for the Noahide.
I've heard 70 and I've heard
31.
200. And
we're starting to speak. Okay, and we have the Geonim. Okay, and you can find it in the Encyclopedia Talmudit. Okay, chapter 4, I think. The Geonim are giving 31 and 32 commandments that the Noahide is supposed to keep, not only 7. So all those are saying it's only 7 and don't do anything else. Fine. So you're going with Rabbi Feinstein. He's on this one side of the boundaries, but on the other side of the boundaries and everything else, there are those much bigger than Rabbi Feinstein, much earlier than Rabbi Feinstein was speaking about much more. So please, come down and don't forget that if someone is saying that only he is right, something there is a bit
off.
wrong.
I like to look at them as veins of gold, and if you truly understand the message behind it and all the repercussions, the results of your actions do branch into other halakha laws. And we can study those things that are pertinent to us as B'nai Noach. And if you want to understand more of Torah principles behind and how it connects us to Hashem and how it brings Hashem into this world, I think you'll find you're going to walk closer and encourage more people on this planet and be of greater effect. So good question, Venio. Thank you for asking. Robin Barney is also asking, should we stay with counsel from rabbis from the Noahide community only?
I will say like that. First of all, no.
In order to not get mixed messages, it's.
But the only thing that I have to say with this is that some of the rabbis are not familiar with this issue. Are not familiar at all. And then they're saying things without the right knowledge. I will say it like that. And we need to be careful with this. So that's all. Because people are saying a lot of things. Unfortunately, a lot of times, I will say it like that, okay? I was a high school principal, or yeshiva, what we call, and I was mainly expert with the educational side. Others are expert with leading communities. And when I'm saying leading communities, is leading community in Israel, okay? Those are two different things, two different experts. Now, you need rabbis with this thing, and you need rabbis with other things. There are rabbis who are expert in all sorts of fields, and they don't really know with the Noahide. So if you want to stick with other rabbis, it's okay, but you need also to know how much they are knowledgeable with the Noahide. Again, people who are knowledge, people who knows. Stay also, all the time, tune yourself with the Noahide world movement, also with those things.
Yes, I look at it like doctors. Doctors have specific fields, and some might be podiatrists, some might be neurologists, some might be gynecologists. Who knows? You're not going to go to a dentist if you want to learn about the brain. So to learn about the Noahide material, it's good to be under the umbrella of the Noahide World Center and keep that connection with Israel.
Exactly. Fine. If we have no more questions, it's okay. Also, if we do have another one question, it's also okay. Everything is fine. Karen, did you got all the answers that you needed? I know that in the last week you had a very interesting situation. We can't hear you.
I think so. Yes. Very, very good. Question. You can't hear me. Can you?
On and off.
Can you hear me?
You're a little broken, Karen, but we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but it's a little bit broken.
Okay. It's probably this headset. Sorry. Hang on just a second. I'll turn it off. Okay.
Yeah, your bandwidth is too low, Karen. We're not getting your straight communication.
Can you hear me now? You can't hear it? You can't hear?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. Yes. So far, you answered the questions very well.
Oh, bless you, Karen. You're down in Alabama?
There is no internet. It's the same strength in the internet. It's like in Alabama, it's just like the same in Africa. You can't really hear it. Alabama is the black people, you know. Fine. Okay, Karen, unfortunately, we can't really hear you. We're really sad with this, but everything is fine. Okay, so I owe you. Next week, we're starting with, I'm going to show, hopefully.
Yes.
You're gonna have to mute her, Rabbi.
Yes, I have no choice.
She's probably
Next
not
week,
receiving us.
Next week, hopefully, we're starting next week with the. Why isn't it getting muted? I can't even mute her. Next week, I don't know why. Next week, we will start. I will show you the 3 strings, I will say, of Genesis, as a full Genesis, from man with himself, with his fellow man, and with God. And we'll see how it's working in all of the Genesis from beginning to the end. And then we will continue diving inside to Genesis.
Excellent. Now you're doing
Thank you all very much. What?
You're doing a broadcast with Netiv on the 18th. Is that correct?
I think this week, right? It's
The
this
18th.
week, right?
Yeah, that's in 4 days.
Yes, we're doing also broadcast there. Yes, we're starting to. They also asked, as I said, I think we explained everything tonight. They asked to be under the umbrella of the Noahide World Center, to be connected with Jerusalem, to be connected with the rabbis of Jerusalem. I think it's very important step, and I think that we are growing up. We are going mature one step ahead. By the way, we have the same thing in Netherlands. We have the same thing in Russia, and also in India. We have in a few places in the world, we started to jump to much higher level of everything, and I think that it's amazing.
And we all get to share in the burden.
Exactly.
All right, so Hashem willing, Rabbi. So we're on for next Sunday, same time, Hashem willing. So we're going to aim for that, folks, and we hope you'll join us. Thank you for everybody that attended today. We had a good crowd in YouTube, and there were several views on Facebook as well. So till next week, we're going to sign out. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, everybody. Blessings from the Noahide World Center. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi. Don't forget to answer my email, please.
I will answer. It's okay.